All right, I bought two PS5s for $300 plus $35 in shipping, and they are defective apparently. So when I got them, I took this off. I was trying to determine if somebody had opened these consoles before, and I wanted to ensure that they had their motherboard. Because you can never be careful, or you can never be too careful, I suppose, when it comes to buying things. Some folks are not honest, but I think this seller was honest. I'm not sure if it has ever been opened. I can't tell. I don't think so, but I'm also people know how to hide that stuff pretty well, but it doesn't matter. It matters in the sense that if somebody else opened this and tried to fix it and they weren't able to, then the chances of me being able to fix it are pretty slim. And I did remove this screw right here. Before I left a rating, I wanted to make sure everything was there, So one of them has no power, and one of them blue light, and that's it. So we are going to attempt to, I don't know which one this is. So this is the blue light. Then it goes off. So blue light, and then it goes off. So this should be interesting. Fan kicks on. So yeah. So let's get it taken apart, and then we will see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. All right, let's see if we can't detect the console. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say we can't. Do I have it disconnected properly? Or not disconnected? Do I have it connected improperly? Let's go ahead and just take all this off so I can see what type of board this is. This is an EDM 030. All right, I don't know what I was doing wrong, but seems to be working now. So let's go up here. An unknown error. So let's copy in all of this. We're going to copy all of this. File, save as, PS5 number 3. We'll save that. We'll clear the error codes. Actually, let's 808830018 power. All of these are power. And then you got the APU not responding, unexpected power loss or shutdown failure. So yeah, so let's clear these error codes. Let's unplug it. plug it back in. So we'll go ahead and cut it on. And we still get a blue light. And it went white. What in the world? Cut it off? Or better yet, let's plug in a... What in the world? Dude, it went white. It was kind of silly. Okay, so let's plug in the HDMI. I don't see anything on the HDMI, but that's not to say there's nothing on the HDMI. Let's cut the console back on. It went white. I still don't have any. Man, I think it's going white kind of quick, bro. Cut it back off. I guess it's off. Or is that going? I don't know. Let's read the error code and see. Let's read error codes, run. So, priority low, power recordings. So yeah, I cleared it. And it seemed to boot properly, but now I don't think it is actually booting properly. Let's clear these error codes again. Run. Let's unplug it. We're going to unplug it, and we're going to plug it back in. I'll let it sit for a few minutes. All right, let's plug it back in. Let's switch back over to scene 2. Let's turn it on. Blue light comes on. Okay, it's cut off. All right, so now I got it to work that one time, and now it's not wanting to work. So let's read the error code. Yeah, so no errors. Then it says known unknown 803. So let's do a search for this code. Maybe it'll give us some indication of what the issue is. So let's go to scene 3. Sorry, you guys weren't saying that, so I ran the code. So it's given us these codes here. So we are going to UART. Let's Control F, Control V, unknown power. Yeah, so I don't know if UART's going to be super helpful for this. Got to cut it back on. Yeah, okay, so we'll just go ahead and we will go with the assumption that we have an unknown power issue. So that could be lots of things, but y'all did see it go white that one time when I cleared the codes. So I am going to, very first thing, I'm going to remove the CMOS battery and then try it again to see if that makes any difference. There's definitely something almost like a an intermittent type issue going on. Of course, I suppose it could be a bad power supply too, right? Maybe that's a. So I don't see anything alarming. From the naked eye. So let's the more I think about this, the more I contemplate whether this can be, whether this is a power supply issue. So we'll remove the CMOS though, just to get everything back to ground level. That is back in there. All right, let's try to turn it on. All right, so we're back to white light again. I don't see anything on the screen though. Nothing on the screen. Maybe I need to let it wait for a minute. I don't know. All right, let's cut it off. It's not responding. I mean, we're definitely white light, but it's definitely not showing anything on the screen. And it's not responding to the power button at all. It's like it's locked up. The CPU is like it's not hot. And it should be hot. The RAM is hot. But the CPU is not hot. Yeah, it's a goner, man. This is I have to forcibly unplug it to get it to turn off. And then when I plug it back in, it's not gonna power on. And it'll go back to that error it's given me. All right, so plug it back in. So we went white again. CPU is getting warm. But it's locked up again. All right, let's unplug it one more time. This time we're going to try to boot it into safe mode. All right. Let's wait for a second for the caps inside the PS to charge. All right. Gonna hold it down until it beeps a second time. All right. Let's see if we can. Oh, no, it turned off this time. It turned off this time. Yeah, it's cutting off. All right. So I'm gonna try a new power supply as a first step, just to rule out if I have one. I have one that'll fit this or not. We'll see. All right. This is a ADP 400 FR. So do I have one of those? Let me go check. All right, I don't know if I have another one of those power supplies. I don't have one. I have an ER, but I don't have an FR. So the other console I bought from this seller doesn't power on at all. So it may have an FR. I haven't disassembled it, but that power supply may be bad. So let me get that one taken apart and see what the deal is with it. All right, so this is the other one. Let's plug it in. Let's plug it in and see. So it does nothing. You know what I'm saying? It does absolutely nothing. So I guess let's take this apart. Dude, this is too much. This is too much, man. I'm never gonna keep track of what goes where. I think this one is the older model, so I'm pretty sure the power supply is going to be different. Yeah, this is an EDM 101, probably. Huh. Ah, this sucks, dude. All right. Well, I guess I guess we can at least see if the power supply is good on this one or not. All right, so this one's definitely got a bad power supply. I'm reading 0 volt. Well, it may not have a bad power supply. It may be a shorted 12 volt line. Let's get the board out. Let's see. Yeah, I think that power supply is dead. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Let's put a new power supply in there and see if that's the only problem. This is a DR. This is a DR. All right, let's see if we get power now. We do. Yeah, so I think this one's good. But that didn't help me fix the other one. Okay, this one's good. All right, so this console is fixed. I verified that it would connect to the internet. I've reset it back to factory defaults. It connected to Wi-Fi with all of the cables unplugged. So yeah, so this one's working. So let's get back to the other one. And the problem with the other one is I think the power supply is bad. That's what I think. And I don't have a load so that I can verify that it's failing under load, but I don't really know what else. It seems to kind of, I need to rule that out. And the only way to rule that out is to buy another ADP 400 FR. And they cost a good bit of money, you know? And I suppose it's good to have one so that you have a test. But bro, that's an expensive test, you know? So maybe I'll sell this one and use the money from this one to buy the power supply. What do you think about that? Anyhow, let me get this one put back together and then we'll get back on that other one. All right, so I found this one. This was from that one that I couldn't get to install the update. It's not the exact same model, but of a similar model. So we were going to try it. And being honest, I hope it's not the power supply. But then again, if it's not the power supply, then it's going to be a very difficult thing to try and figure out what's wrong. Okay. So everything's connected. So let's plug in HDMI. Let's plug in power supply. Let's switch over to scene 3. Let's power it on. And we got a white light. No, it's still doing the same thing. Still doing the same thing. Yeah. It's not wanting to power off. Okay, so it wasn't the power supply. At least now I know. What could cause that? It's not the power supply. Good. So what on earth could cause that? So this is the PS5 that won't install an update, but it fully boots. So what I wanted to do is I don't know exactly what else to do. So given that other console it's like it tries to boot. I'm just trying to look for differences between a working console and the console that's not working, I guess. So I broke out my oscilloscope and I want to try and figure out what some of these signals look like. So that's the first inductor on the right side of it. That's the second inductor. So you can see it jumping around a little bit as those MOSFETs cut on and off. That's the third. That's the fourth. That's the fifth. And this is the sixth. So we can see what that looks like. So if we measure on the other side of those inductors, we should just get a solid 1 volt DC signal. And so I can't see because my little phone's in the way. So we're on 500 millivolts per division, and that's 2 divisions. And we can see, so it's 1 volt DC with a little bit of noise on the signal. And if we measure each one, Make sure I hold my ground in place so I'm not, so we can see it's 1 volt. That one's a little more noisy than the others, but it was also the one that had the full screen of pulses. So I don't know what the difference between those last 2 inductors are. I don't quite. I know that on this side, I know that you have MOSFETs being turned on and off very quickly by a controller. And so on one side, you should see pulses of when the MOSFET's on, when it's off, when it's on, when it's off. And then this one is on at a different time than the other one, the one next to it, you know. So, but it does look a little bit different. But anyhow, we know that this console boots. So we got a good indication of what the signals look like on the input and the output. So we can check some other areas here at this inductor. I don't know if this is for RAM. I'm not exactly sure what this is for, but that's what it looks like on that side of the inductor. And then on the other side of the inductor, it's probably going to be like 0.9 volts, I would guess. So we're looking at, no, it's a little bit higher. So 500 volts for 500 millivolts per division. And we've, looks like, got almost 3 divisions. So 1.4, maybe 1.3, with some noise at the top. I don't know if you can, let's see if we can stop that. Let's see if we can spread this. Oh, no, that's the wrong way. Spread it out a little bit. So yeah, so that's what the top of the signal looks like when you spread it out. So again, I'm presuming that's normal. So let's go to this other MOSFET way over here. Let's auto set. Yeah, so that's, you can see where you have a MOSFET turning on and off. And if we go to the other side, we should see a solid DC signal. Well, maybe not. You have a pulsating DC. So I don't know. Maybe that's normal. I'm assuming it's normal since this console boots. So I guess what we should do is take the other one that's not booting, that sometimes goes to white light and like locks up, and then other times has like a 3-second blue light of death. And we'll try to compare what we found here with what we find on that console. So this is the console that won't boot. That's not the right cable. Let's plug it in. Let's try to get it to go white light. Okay, this time we got it to somewhat boot. So let's take and do the same thing. Let's measure our first MOSFET on this side. So we will auto set. So that looks, I guess, similar. That one looks similar. Well, that one doesn't look as similar as the other one. This one looks like the other one. That one does not look like the other one. The other one on the fourth MOSFET was still half of the thing was pulses and the other half weren't. Now this one looks like the other one. This one looks like the other one. So the only one that I don't find to look like the other one is this one. It seems like there are fewer pulses than the other one. So let's check the output. Let's auto set, see if we're getting our 1 volt. And we are. And that looks very similar to what we saw. And that looks very similar. Actually, these look identical to the other one. Well, that one looks a little bit, yeah, so that one's got all those pulses because on the input it had all those pulses. Same thing with this one, same thing with that one. So really the only two that look different are the 4th MOSFET and the 1st MOSFET. Even here it looks a little bit differently because this one is what the other one looked like. You see how you can see it pulsating? And then on this one, it looks similar. So let's auto set this again. Yeah, so that's the input of this one looks different, but I don't know that it looks different enough for it to make a difference. Let's check the other 2 points where we could get to. That, I suppose. Let's auto set that. That should be what we like 1.5. Yeah, so that's exactly what it was like on the other one. And then this one was the one that had pulses on both sides. Yeah, that looked like the other one. And if I auto set this one looks a little bit different than that other one. So yeah, it seems to be kind of inconclusive. But this, if I were to plug in the HDMI to show you that it's not actually booting without making the console cut off, because one time I didn't make the console cut off. So if I go to scene 3, no, I go to scene 2, yeah, you see. So it's not actually booting. And it's locked up. You can't do that. So the other thing was, and I took the board out and I applied 12 volts from my power supply, and I was getting the correct, obviously I was getting the correct voltage on the Syscon. You know how it'll jump up to 300 milliamps and then it'll pop back down to like 9 milliamps. So that's normal behavior for one of these consoles. And we kind of knew that because it actually allows us to attempt to cut it on. So I just did it as, just because I don't actually know what else to do. I mean, this is kind of a tricky problem, especially when it does boot, you have all of your voltages. So if I measure here, notice I get my 1.2. If I measure here, I'm getting my 0.8, which is normal. I get 3.3 volts on my BIOS, and you can measure these voltages in DC right here. That's your V-core, right? I'm not sure, one of these is RAM. I'm not sure which one. So that's 1.3, which is what we measured with the oscilloscope. This is 0.9 volts, so I think this is probably RAM. I'm not sure what this one is for. So yeah, so I'm getting 3.3 volts on the BIOS, which you kind of know because it allows you to try to turn it on, and sometimes it goes white light. It's almost like there's something wrong with the CPU, but I don't know. I don't know what else to do. This is a very complex issue, I think. Let me get we can look at this under the thermal cam. If the thermal cam will cut on today. All right, you can see, if you notice, I know this thing's not the greatest in the world. You can see my RAM, all my RAM ICs are hot. CPU is pretty hot. I would think it would be hotter, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So yeah, so it's like the board comes alive, the RAM is engaged. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with this console. I don't know what the next step would be, especially considering everything seems to be working, other than it's like it gets hung on boot because it won't allow me to attempt to charge it or to cut it off. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So I think what I'll probably do is in this video here, and then maybe somebody that knows something will come by and be like, hey man, I've had one like this and this is what I did to fix it. So anyhow, I appreciate it, and y'all, at least we fixed one out of the two, so that's not too bad. We get some of our money back. But and if anything else, we've got a donor, you know, if I can't get this fixed. So anyhow, y'all be good.